Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all between. Welcome to Sci-Fi. My name's V, and there's my buddy Brian. How you doing, buddy?
I am fan-flippin-tastic.
Yeah, so it's been really fun watching the original trilogy and watching them consecutively. And so you get to see things, every time. If you do this every 10 years, you're going to see something new. Things will mean different things to you. And it's been a pretty cool journey so far,
100%. I'm very into the chronological order of watching things, and I would say this probably should be done every 2 to 3 years. They're that good, especially the middle, the
4, 5, and 6. Yeah,
4, 5, and 6 make everything else. Make it better, but then you also realize what masterpieces all three of the 4, 5, and 6 are in their own way.
Yeah, like anytime I would see, episode 4 on TV or 5, I'd stop.
Yeah.
But on my own, I probably watch the trilogy once every 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I
think I watched so like 7, 8, and 9 I rewatched maybe last year, but I didn't watch chronologically. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the sequel trilogy turns out, watching them back to back with these.
We'll see soon
I've got a lot to say when we get to
We're going to end up talking more about those movies than we did the good ones.
Right. Well, because we can unleash, because it's not George.
True. True.
Even though we may not like everything that George has done, we still love George Lucas. You know what I mean? But and he didn't even like the sequel trilogy. But I hope he buys back Star Wars, or a controlling entity that he's involved with does, because. But I do have to say, Ahsoka is killing it. Anyone who says that it's not good.
Can't wait.
People just bitch about Star Wars to get views and clicks. If you don't love it, just go move on to something else, man.
Yeah.
There's enough hate in the world. You don't need to hate on imaginary characters.
Except for Jar Jar Binks. We can all hate on Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, of course.
Oh, Annie! I'm going to jump off a cliff now.
Nah, Jar Jar's really good in episode 3.
Right.
All 30 seconds.
Yeah. It was the best appearance he didn't say, but the but I'm telling you, the original plan was he was the Phantom Menace.
Well, it didn't
no
quite
one
work
would
like
have
that.
ever thought it was Jar Jar orchestrating everything. He was close to everything,
Well, hopefully we never hear about him ever again.
Right. Okay. Moving on. So we're going to start episode 6.
Luke Skywalker has returned to his home planet of Tatooine in an attempt to rescue his friend Han Solo from the clutches of the vile gangster, Jabba the Hutt. Little does Luke know that the Galactic Empire has secretly begun construction on a new armored space station, even more powerful than the first dreaded Death Star. When completed, this ultimate weapon will spell certain doom for the small bands of rebels struggling to restore freedom to the galaxy.
One thing that bugs me is about building another Death Star. They should have came up with something else. I mean, we all knew what the threat of Death Star was. You know what I mean? And that's why I have such a huge problem with the sequel trilogies that we'll talk about, coming up soon. Was like, dude,
We'll get to my piece on the Death Star later.
Okay.
I've got 2 sentences on that I can elaborate on a lot more, but we can get to that.
Okay. All right. So Return of the Jedi, also known as Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, is an American epic space opera film directed by Richard Marquand. The screenplay is by Lawrence Kasdan and George Lucas, from a story by Lucas, who was also exec producer. The sequel to Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. Third film, 6th chronological. in the Skywalker saga. God, I hate that Skywalker saga. This is from WikiLeaks, by the way. The film stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams, Anthony Williams, David Prowse, Kenny Baker, Peter Mayhew, and Frank Oz. Set 1 year after The Empire Strikes Back, the Galactic Empire is constructing a second Death Star to exterminate the Rebel Alliance. With intel that the Emperor will be on board, the Rebel fleet launches a full-scale attack on the Death Star in hopes of destroying it and the Empire. Meanwhile, Rebel hero Luke Skywalker, now a Jedi Knight, struggles to bring his father, Darth Vader, back into the light side of the Force. Okay, following Lucas and Kasdan's discussion on Return of the Jedi, the film went into production. Spielberg, David Lynch, and David Cronenberg were considered to direct the project before Marquand signed on as director. That could have been 3 totally different movies right there.
Very different movies.
David Lynch? Dude, are you kidding me? Wow.
I wonder what Spielberg would have done with it.
You know,
everything would have just blown up.
You know, Dune, because there's a couple of Dune references in Star Wars, and there's one in this film right here that we'll talk about later. And okay, okay. The production team relied on Lucas's storyboard during pre-production while writing the shooting script. Lawrence Kasdan, Marquand, and producer Howard Kazanajan spent 2 weeks in conference discussing ideas to construct it. Blah blah blah. Okay, film was released May 25th, 1983, grossing $374 million worldwide. Highest grossing film in 1983. Blah blah blah. And now we get to the notes. Okay. Another Death Star is being built as a destroyer fills the screen. Their opening shots are always cool.
Very cool.
You know, that's what makes if the first shot of a Star Wars project doesn't have a cool, you know, sense of scale to it. Yeah.
Right.
And as always, the contractors are lagging behind on the construction project. And Darth informs the Admiral the Emperor is on his way. C-3PO and R2-D2 are again walking in the desert on their way to see Jabba the Hutt at his palace. We should knock, I suppose. Then he does 2 quick taps. Nope, nobody's here. Dude, I thought that was so funny when I was a kid.
It is funny. It still holds up.
You know, and before they can make their intros to who they are, already there's the droid eyeball checking them out and laughing at them. And then what's the character who greets him at the steps? The guy with the
I don't know his name. You're talking about the guy with the
Sewanajanga.
I know that.
Yeah, and then R2. Yeah.
I always watch with everything with captions now because it just helps me in general. And speaking Japanese, I believe it is that's literally what it says, and I love it. It makes like just reading it. Like the one thing I will say about movies that do that when someone's speaking in a different language, I really wish they would like subtitle whatever it is that they're trying to get across. Like I understand that it's probably pointless dialects, but I would love to also know like dialogue, excuse me, not dialect. And I know that it doesn't probably mean anything, but I want to know. Like I would like to actively know what the hell he's saying versus.
Yeah. So on Tunage, we've been reacting to Japanese female metal bands. Okay.
Okay.
And we don't know what the hell they're saying because we don't speak Japanese, but you can feel it through the emotion.
Right.
I'd be like, man, I wish this was subtitled, you know, because the ones that we listen to yet are not, you know. And then what's great is people like literally will tell us what the song is about and all this stuff. But yeah, like the same thing, you know, like, oh, you know, because a lot of times in movies, like there'll be a scene here and they break into this language. You want to know what's going, especially if it's like a spy movie or something, you know. And
well, even Star Trek does that shit a lot, where it's like, okay, the Klingons are talking, they're mad. Please tell me what's going on. Like, just give me a little hint of like, I understand we're angry. I am also angry, but I need a little bit more as to what exactly here is going on.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. So R2 shows Luke's hologram to Jabba, the hut, and then Luke gifts the droids to Jabba, and C-3PO's like, what did he say?
You're playing the wrong recording.
They're always getting given away, you know.
A little bit.
And then the band harkens back to Mos Eisley.
I got a problem with the band thing.
Okay,
the edit of the band thing is just, I miss the original band, not the new songs.
Yeah, I don't like the new song. Yeah.
Give me the original band back. Or give me the option. Actually, I don't know if it is an option. Does Disney Plus have the originals as an option to watch? See, I don't love
George
that.
Lucas owns those exclusively. That edit. And I believe he tossed the masters.
Why would he do that?
Because that's not what he wanted.
Okay.
Because Daddy owns it, you know, or owned it. And I wish. Oh, and by the way, Tivoli is showing all the Star Wars movies. So they just had episode 2 last week, you know, because they have multiple screens now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they're playing some Star Wars stuff.
Cool.
But, yeah, so the performer gets dropped into the pit and gets eaten by another Star Wars large-scale monster. You know. Also, it was like a mix between the Planet Hoth thing with the teeth and then the worm.
The Rancor. So it's actually really funny. My nephew really likes Star Wars, and about a year or so ago, I showed him, because I have a Rancor in the basement. Freaked him out. Like, literally freaked him out so much. He loves Star Wars, but showing him the actual guy, he's like, and every time I see it now, I think about it and laugh. Like, it's a good monster.
Yeah.
I think he's got a nose piercing, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
It's a good monster.
Seeing if I saved it here. I know I saved it somewhere. That's what happens, man. There's so much. You know what I mean?
I know.
They found a production X-Wing fighter from the effects, right, from the original trilogy, and they're expecting it to fetch up to $400,000 at auction.
Wow, I'm not surprised.
And it's all battle scarred. It's Luke's, you know. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, yeah. So a bounty hunter enters with Chewie, and he gets yet another gift. And we see Boba Fett hanging out. Gives the nod to the other bounty hunter. Great job on Jabba's puppetry, man.
I agree.
Great job. To make that believable as a character is ridiculous. Yeah. You know,
it's amazing to see it. I mean, it seems very heavily edited in this one. Yeah. I feel like versus what it originally was. Mm-hmm. But still. Great character.
Absolutely. Then Chewie's letter, or wait. So the bounty hunter basically is trying to get more money out of Jabba and threatens him with a thermal detonator to increase the bounty. And
I like you. I like your kind of scum. I think that's what it is, isn't it? Something like that.
And then Chewie's led away, and Lando reveals himself to the camera. Oh, hey, it's me. The only black dude in fucking Star Wars.
In space.
In space. So, you know, but yeah, in the first movie, I didn't like Lando's cockiness kind of a thing because he fucked his friends at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we had a good redemption arc.
But I like him in Jedi for sure. And I grew up with him, you know, did a great Lady Sings the Blues. It was at Diana Ross and Richard Pryor in that movie. Unbelievable acting. And, you know, he was the man. He was the shit back in the early 70s. And he had a career lull because he was like the hot young guy, you know.
Jeez, that crossed. I didn't realize how old he was. I just
Yeah.
looked him up. He's 86.
Yeah.
Well, and also let's not forget about Batman.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Is it Harvey Dent?
Yeah, I mean, he never got the chance, but yeah.
In the comic books, he did. In Batman '88, they released some issues there, and
That's cool.
But I would have loved to have seen him do that because he totally could have been like the charmer on one end.
Oh yeah,
that suave thing about him.
I think he had it written in his contract that he would be the Joker, or Two-Face. Excuse me, not Joker. He would be Two-Face, and then obviously they went a very different direction with that particular.
Yeah, something happened. Some goofy thing happened. I don't know what it was. But...
That's all right. We got Tommy Lee Jones' performance. We'll never forget.
Yeah.
Maybe the best piece of thing he's ever done.
You ever see those whatever college videos, college humor, whatever it was? They did the Batman interviewing Joker.
Yes.
It's so funny. Oh my god! Did you watch that thing I posted? Batman fights Darth Vader.
I don't know that I did.
Oh, dude,
I might have missed it.
Send it to you. Unbelievable. It's
I'll
fan fiction, and these guys you ever see Batman versus Wolverine?
No.
Oh wow, you're good. Wait, yeah, okay. I think it's Son of the Bat or something, but I'll send you the links, dude. You're gonna
send them over.
These guys have spent. It's like this kid. He's like 30, and his dad. Like that's what they do with all their extra money, and they take years to produce these. Like we were surprised that Lucasfilm didn't hire these guys to do some Star Wars, and we were surprised as hell that DC didn't hire them to do Batman because they do it better than the studios, and it's amazing. Amazing work. But all right, so shit. So Jabba the Hutt, Jabba and Company sleeps while the bounty hunter messes with the contracts. With the controls as Han defrosts. Leia answers "Who are you?" She goes, "Someone who loves you." And he's like, "Leia." Good thing he did. Like, it would have been funnier if he said another name and she slapped him. Like that would have been funny.
That would have worked.
But I was like, "Good man,"
Yeah, that would have worked.
So Han gets taken away after a back and forth to Jabba, who licks Leia in the grossest fucking way possible. That was just nasty.
Jabba's gross.
Yeah. Han gets put into a cell, and Chewie hugs him. Another one of my favorite lines of all time. Chewie's updating Han on what's going on. And, of course, you can't understand Chewie. He's like, doing all this stuff. And he's like, what? He's like, I'm out of it for a while, and everyone gets delusions of grandeur. That is one of my favorite lines of all time. Because such the smart ass, the reason why I'm probably such a smart ass in real life has a lot to do with Han Solo.
I think you're 100% right.
Just because he was the coolest guy around, And then Luke enters and plays Jedi mind games and tries to talk to, and he wants to talk to Jabba right now. And then the next thing you know, here comes Luke dressed in all black, like his father before him. But even darker. He went totally black.
Yeah, all black.
So that's why I thought he was going to turn to the dark side, or maybe had already.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if your buddy's your buddy,
Yeah.
So Luke is dressed in all black. Luke and Guard drop to the floor. And then, of course, they become the monster's lunch. Well, Luke doesn't, but the crowd cheers, and then Luke sticks the bone in the mouth. And, of course, it stops it for a bit.
Then the poor man crying when his little Rancor buddy is dead. Right. Very upset.
But let's see. Then the monster chows down on the Guard. Monster tries to gnash at Luke, but he puts the old bone in the monster's mouth, if you know what I'm saying. And Luke tries to escape, but winds up crushing a spike with the door through the monster's head. What was the name of that monster again?
Rancor.
Rancor, thank you. And Jabba's prison means tons of torture. The gang is brought before Jabba, and then and they are to be terminated in the Dune Sea, in the Sarlacc pit. So it's kind of like
Fair. Yeah.
But they also mentioned spice, by the way. Anyway, so Han, Luke, and Chewie, and dude, Mark Hamill's surgery, plastic
It's
surgery,
so evident.
apparent. Yeah,
Oh yeah, very evident.
Yeah,
Especially
because he was still recovering in the in the last movie. He still had swelling and he wasn't as old, so he still had he's still losing the baby fat in his face, and hadn't gone full cocaine or whatever they were doing. But not saying that he did, just but yeah, you could definitely tell, and I think it actually worked for the story.
It does,
because you're seeing someone change, and Darth Vader changed, and things happened to him, so he's disfigured. And I'm not saying Mark Hamill's disfigured, not
no,
but
yeah, you can for sure see though.
Story. Yeah,
I agree.
And and that has a lot to do with Mark Hamill's acting ability too, by the way.
Oh God, is he good?
But Luke is brought out to the plank and gives the nod to Lando. That's so apparent nod.
Oh my God, the head nod thing. So once again, if you haven't, so my second Family Guy reference, when they do, I forget what the last one's called, but anyways, they do the head nod seed and they play it out. It's like a minute and change of people just head nodding to each other before the whole thing starts. It's so funny, and it is absolutely I once again watched that scene today, and I was like, Family Guy, you've done it again.
By the way, how blasted do you think Carrie Fisher was in this picture?
I think a little bit.
But yeah, so Mark Hamill shows up all black, very dark brown, but then they go to the Dune Sea. And I thought the guards with the ponytails type of stuff, I'm really bummed I haven't seen these characters since then, because that's a great look.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you could make them into some really fierce looking, of course, that's later. But, you got that one?
I have a version of it, yes. Is that the original?
No, I don't think
I got a version of it somewhere.
Yeah. But and then of course seeing, you know what I mean? We needed this shot in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
In the last trilogy that they didn't give us.
Yeah. Poo.
The hills are alive. I still don't know.
Yeah, let's.
Boba shows up, puts rope around Luke. While distracted by Chewie. Oh, wait. Sorry. Boba. Sorry. Distracted. Chewie falls on Han. Oh, Chewie falls on Han, and Luke's like, oh my God. And he gets distracted in the fight scene. And then Chewie tells Han about Boba Fett, and he's like, Boba Fett? Where? And this is one of the things that's always bugged me about this movie, because I don't have too many complaints at all about this movie.
Okay.
Boba Fett was the coolest character ever.
Yeah.
And he gets taken out as a joke.
Yeah. They turned him into a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. So boom, rockets right against the wall, boom, into the Sarlacc pit, and then he winds up in Dune Part 2 or something. I don't know. But it's interesting how they paid that off in Boba Fett, or the book of Boba Fett. Then Chewie tells Han, okay, and the comedy ensues as the jetpack activates, flying into Jabba's barge, falling into the Sarlacc pit. Leia chokes Jabba with the slavery chain and kills him. I thought that was badass.
And we also haven't talked about Carrie Fisher's outfit.
Okay, let's talk.
I mean, she is unreal. She looks perfect. She is perfect. Yeah. I love Carrie Fisher.
Yeah. It's how much weight I had to Yeah, you know
Probably
what?
won't show up, but it is a Carrie Fisher candle.
Right.
So, like, I mean,
No, she's a
Carrie Fisher,
brilliant writer, or she was a brilliant writer. Funny person.
gr-
Yeah, that's one person I wish I would have got to hang out with once, and I didn't get to. You know what I mean?
God, I adore Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally, I mean,
Oh, dude, I think that's her best performance ever.
I agree.
She just, nails it.
Yeah, I love her.
Uh,
Rest in
yeah,
peace,
and
Queen.
the whole thing, how she never had a bra on or underwear. And George's answer to that, George Lucas's answer to that was, "There's no underwear in space." But if you haven't seen the AFI tribute to George Lucas,
I haven't.
you need to go on YouTube after this, and Carrie Fisher gives a speech. And it is the funniest. She busts his balls, dude.
I love that.
So bad, Spielberg's balls. She's like, yeah. And she talks about that. Oh, yeah. And then he comes up, oh, yeah, there's no underwear in space. Fuck you, buddy. Like,
I love that.
She's just really good. And, like, they all think she's hilarious. You know what I mean? Part of the
She
family.
is.
Oh, for sure. But, like, they're not offended. They're just, like, digging it, So, Leia chokes Jabba with the slavery chain. Han shoots his blaster, even though he really can't see that good, and it hits the tentacle, freeing Lando from a Sarlacc pit. Guard shoots Luke's mechanical hand. Didn't care for that. Leia blasts the deck and basically sends the Jabba's floating palace into the desert.
Yeah, I think blew up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think they could have waited a little bit. Like maybe they put too many, they messed it up too much too fast. They were not far enough away to actively blow it up like that.
Right, like it should have been less time, shots of them cruising through the desert with it, and then
right.
But they had to pick where they're going to spend their money.
You're not wrong.
You know what I mean? So, so then Luke does the Tarzan swing again, like we saw in A New Hope. And, they flee as the barge explodes. Luke tells Leia that he will meet him back at the fleet while he goes to finish his training in the Dagobah system. Palpatine arrives on the new Death Star.
Hello, Lord Vader.
The one thing I want to still add about
my favorite look for Palpatine is in this movie, by the way.
Oh yeah, the walking like this. The whole Jabba thing, it's like 37 minutes long. It's a lot. There's a lot of time in that. Like when we're watching it and I'm like, holy shit. Like I didn't remember that it was that long. Like it's not bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's just.
You just remember it differently.
Right. I do not remember it being that long at all. Like I said, not bad. Just took a minute this time watching through. I was like, all right.
So Yoda and Luke have the talk. You wish to continue your teach. Oh wait, you wish to teach your young for the young Skywalker. Yoda and Luke meet. Obviously, Yoda is not doing well.
He's rapidly declined.
Right. So I'm watching this movie today, and unfortunately, a friend of mine is, very ill. So I was with him today, and that made that scene so much more powerful to me. Because Luke's losing an old friend. So I was like totally in that scene, and like Seth's like, Dad, what? He's like, okay. But you know what I mean?
I do.
Certain things affect you differently, but and then Yoda's like, no more training do you require? Already know what you will need. And then Luke says that I am a Jedi. Yoda tells him, only a Jedi you will be after you confront Vader. So and then he's like, why didn't you tell me,
Yeah.
Anakin was my dad. And then Yoda like turns over like he's gonna do, he's like, your father he is. And the last of the Jedi you will be. which is interesting because now you find out, of course, it wasn't expanded at the time, that there was tons of Jedis,
Right.
not tons, but like 111 that survived. So I told you about that video I watched of the remaining Jedis.
Yes.
But and then Yoda says, and I don't remember him saying this when I saw it when I was younger. Pass on what you have learned. So I don't remember that as a kid, him saying that.
Right. Keep it going.
Right. And then he goes, there is another Skywalker. And Luke kind of realizes it, but doesn't. And then Yoda fades away.
The in between little breaths, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Listen, he is the most powerful Jedi out there. Like he could hopefully just finish off.
Right, but that means he can be stronger in the afterlife.
True. Very true.
In the world between worlds.
Very true.
But and Obi-Wan shows up as a Force ghost. And then he's more machine than man. Twisted and evil.
Yeah, I was laughing when I saw that. It's like, Obi-Wan, you did that to him. You made him all machines. Like you did that, bud.
I've got the high ground, Annie.
Like that was all you, bud.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Lando is now a guard, and Han and the gang are in the military briefing room.
Oh, we get our second woman.
What's that?
Our second woman of the universe, basically, on this trilogy. I don't know her name. I should know her name, but that's like it's Carrie Fisher and the other woman. That's the only two that you really see in the entire.
Yeah,
minus like the slave girls in Jabba's palace.
Yeah, she's also in. She's also in The Mandalorian. No, no, not Mandalorian. Ahsoka, but she's also in Andor.
We're on like episode 4 of Andor. I don't think I've seen her yet.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
It's probably episode 5 she comes in.
It's all good.
They have a different actress, but she looks pretty similar. It's her with the married guy. She's like
checks out.
Yeah. But Luke enters the briefing room, hugs Leia. Obviously, signs of affection.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have to take a shuttle, and that shuttle that they need the code for the clearance from the they stole the Y-wing, and so the shuttle that they're going to the new or to get on the destroyer.
Yeah, we're trying to get to the planet.
Do you know what the name of that shuttle is?
No.
So the last two letters, if you change to an O and an S, it would be Tiberius. For James Tiberius.
Tiberius Kirk,
but it's the Tiberian.
Got it.
So there are nods to Star Trek.
I don't understand. I still don't understand. You could like people who are like, I like this one and not the other one. Like, why can't you just like both? Space.
Well, one's science fiction, one's science fantasy.
Yeah, fair.
One's a military procedural, the other one's a Western. Okay.
Yeah, but there's no reason to yuck on each other. Like it's
well, J.J. Abrams shouldn't make any of these things because he made Star Trek Star Warsy.
Yeah, a little bit.
What's with all the white? It's everywhere, white and shiny.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But I actually like the movies, but they're not. The alternate timeline thing makes sense because it's not our Star Trek.
The Kelvin timeline.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the Hobbs one next. So the speeder chase ensues. Really fun sequence.
I love the speeder bikes. Absolutely love them.
And that everyone wanted, like, oh man, when are those coming out? In real life, But
yeah, it's I mean, obviously it's early inspo. I mean, obviously we're going back in time to episode 1, so like pod racing, speed racer. There's similarities there. A lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, absolutely. Yeah. There's echoes
Yeah.
but there's always some kind of race, because Spielberg or Lucas likes speed. Then, okay, so Luke makes his way back, not knowing where Han and Chewie, or not knowing where Leia is, and basically Han and Chewie and them go looking for her. Now, during this sequence, this is one of the sequences that I skip through. Enough with the Ewoks. I've seen them 1,000 times, like originally, but you know what I mean? I don't need to see that. I think it slows the movie down.
I love the Ewoks so much. Are they little people or are they kids? Like who?
Both, but mostly little people.
Got it.
Yeah. What's his name? The guy from Willow plays one of the main ones.
Really? I didn't know that.
He's in like almost every Star Wars movie ever made.
Huh.
Every Star Wars
know.
project. And he like Star Wars Celebration, he hosts that often.
I love that.
Yeah, so he's always been involved with he's had a lifetime worth of employment from LucasArts.
That's awesome.
So Vader tells Palpy Luke is there, and then the Emperor's like,
strange, I didn't feel it.
Feel his presence. And then Palpy asks Vader if his feelings are clouded. And then the search for Leia continues. Ewoks capture them, the gang. Then R2 cuts the rope down when they're
they fall 20-something feet, and everybody's just like, okay, nope, no problem.
I'm good to go. Yeah, and then at that point, they all started bowing and worshiping C-3PO, and then Han gets lippy. And next thing you know, he's going to be the main course for dinner.
Yeah, why are the Ewoks just eating people?
How did they know to have a dress in Leia's size?
Ewoks are good tailors, from what I've heard.
Riddle me that. And she walks out like all like relaxed and brushed out, hey, all fresh. But and then Luke tells C-3PO to threaten him, and basically force lifts his throne. And that's after the Ewoks basically blew off C-3PO's original threat. They're like, okay, whatever. And then Luke or Leia dips out of the party while Han and C-3PO are doing their comedy shtick. They're going back and forth. And like basically every time C-3PO would say 2 words, Han would interrupt him, and then it'd go back and
forth. I love that, watching it again. I want to say I forgot about it, but he's like, and this. It's like, oh God, I love Han. Right. Absolutely do.
So then Leia and Luke talk, and they have he's my father. But Luke tells Leia, and she realizes that she was macking on her brother.
Yeah, well, that part is like, I somehow always knew. Okay, then why y'all kiss? Like, if you always knew there, pal, let's not do that.
I always knew. By the way, where's stepmother? Star Wars stepmother porn.
Yeah, a little bit.
But so then Han's like walks in all like all Anakin-y, and he's like, "What's going on?" And then Han says, Han actually apologizes, realizes he's being a shithead, and goes back and apologizes to Leia. And then you knew she had him.
Yep.
Luke turns himself in, meets with Vader. Vader checks out his saber.
Yeah.
Luke tries to get Vader to come with them.
Come with me. I know there's still good in you.
But and it's weird, like I noticed watching it this time, everyone's trying to manipulate Anakin.
Yeah, always.
Everyone around him.
Yeah,
there's never not an agenda when dealing with him.
Besides Mom. Mom's the only one.
Right. I mean, right, of course. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, everybody else that he's met is like, hey, come this way, come that way, do this, do that. And
right.
I don't think he's a big independent thinker.
Yeah, everyone's always trying to manipulate old Annie. Then Luke gets taken away while Vader basically, Luke is taken to see the Emperor on the shuttle with Vader. The Rebel fleet jumps into hyperspace as Han, Leia, Chewie, and the Ewoks take over the Imperial base. Vader escorts Luke to the old Palpy. Lando realizes the shields are still on, and everyone's like, "It's a trap!"
Admiral Akbar.
Admiral Akbar. Lando realizes, they've been set up, and of course, it's a trap. And we get to see Akbar. Oh, I won't spoil it, but watch the show Ahsoka.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Then, of course, they go into what Star Wars does best is dogfights.
100%.
You know, and the editing is really spectacular in the dogfights. Palpatine, much like Grand Moff Tarkin, they get off on like watching people watch people die.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know,
Workplace violence, yes.
also through the weird window again, you know, but so Palpatine tries to get inside Luke's head. Han and the guys are let out the stormtroopers while the Ewoks kick some ass, you know, because they got in and they got out. And,
they did kick ass.
Yeah. And, you know, it was fun, but I just, you know, I've seen it, you know, with the kids a million times, and I'm like, oh my God, you know.
Let's keep going.
Yeah. So Saber stopped by Darth as Luke about to attack Palpatine. You get the
That's very good. Let the hate flow through you.
Amazing, that line. How many times I've used that in every aspect of my life?
Oh, for sure. You know, I love this artwork. But look how dark Anakin is, and he's only got a little bit of light in him. But what he's doing is foreshadowing the story of Anakin, and that to get Vader, you know, who's all in black, and there's that little bit of light within him, he's got to basically pull it out of him.
I like that.
But that's very interesting to me. And you know, Luke's all, yeah, go F yourself.
a little bit, yeah.
And I like how Vader's looking at, like, Luke would say something smart ass, and he'd look at Palpatine, and he'd look back at Luke like, you said what? You know, he kept on looking back and forth.
I would never say that to my evil dad.
Right. And then, you know, look at,
I feel the power flow through you.
But Luke was right off the bat, pretty aggressive in his lightsaber technique there.
A little bit.
And I think he caught Vader off guard because that's why he stumbled down the stairs. Which was weird. It's almost like he wasn't trying on purpose.
Right.
But
it's like this guy's been a badass forever, and all of a sudden he's stumbling around, right, falling over. Like,
yeah, two guys had, like, you know, part-time COD class as the Jedi, and, you know, beats Einstein in mathematics, you know. But Han, Leia, and the droids think they are going to get blasted by a walker, and then it opens up, and it's Chewie to save the day. And Chewie is also one of the best characters ever.
It's great
in motion picture history. Dogfight continues, again, very well edited. Luke basically lets Vader know through his thoughts that Leia's his sister. Oh, there is another.
A moment of weakness.
Yeah.
But then Darth tries to, you know, manipulate him a little bit, right, with the, oh, there's another one of you. Screw you. We're going to do this. I'm going this way now.
Yeah, you're just
I love that.
And then Luke kicks Vader's ass when he mentions Leia. He just went full on out, you know what I mean?
He was not taking that shit.
Yeah. And Luke cuts off Vader's arm. Like, he was really, and it was the same arm that he cut off from Luke. But
ragey sabering.
Yeah, I wonder how many, you know, there's always an arm that gets cut off in these movies, you know.
Seems to, yeah. I mean, the first one is the guy in the bar. Second one is Anakin's hand, or Luke's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 4 or 5, and then 6 is Darth. Is there any in 1? Like, I'm talking Phantom Menace. Is there any limbs cut off? I don't remember.
There was something. There's a limb. In every movie, there's an arm cut off.
Huh.
We'll have to look that up.
Anakin loses his hand in the second one.
Google, see if anyone got their hand cut off in episode 1.
Let's find out.
But Palpatine, meanwhile, tells Luke to kill Vader and take his place by his side. And that's when Vader knew that he was fucking disposable.
Right.
He's like, oh, this is his plan the whole time. Once he found out that there was a younger, more capable, non-mechanized.
The odd movie out. No hands or arms are cut off whatsoever.
Really? Huh.
But Darth Maul gets cut in half. But no limbs, just body.
Nice. Just the transportation system.
Huh. Interesting.
Luke stands down, and he's like, I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Yeah.
And then,
So be it, Jedi.
So good.
love that line. So they blow up the shield. Meanwhile, the Millennium Falcon, they blow up the shield. No, I'm sorry. Han and company blow up the shield dish control on Endor that's enabling the Death Star 2 to have their shields up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they didn't see him originally, because the shield was coming from the planet and not from the... Then the Force lightning fight, which I always thought was longer. Yeah.
I don't understand why he just stayed
No!
like this. Yeah, that was good. And I did think it was longer too. Like yesterday watching it was like, wow, that was like much quicker than I had. We got 35 minutes on Tatooine with Jabba, and we got,
Right.
2 minutes of.
And then Luke's like, Father, please. And then you see Vader doing the thing back and forth again.
Uh-huh.
And then what's funny is Vader repeats a line that Luke said in the previous movie. No. Which he also said in episode 3 when he became Vader. But then he throws Palpatine down the hole, and as we know in Star Wars, if you fall, you what?
You don't die.
You don't die. So we'll see him later. Vader, now on Luke's lap, like the Virgin Mary, has Jesus on her lap.
Yep.
And they did that in the other movie as well with another character. Can't remember which one. Or maybe that. No, that's anyway.
Well, they got Leia's on Flynn's lap. I don't remember. I know.
Yeah.
Something happens like that in the.
And then Luke is dragging Vader to his ship. Like no one's gonna stop that from happening.
Yeah, sorry, that's our boss. You can't just actively take him.
Right. And he helps Vader take off the mask after he says, "Let me look upon you with my own eyes." And Luke says, I have to save you. And he smiles and says, you already have, and then dies.
Yeah.
They blow up Death Star 2.
God, all right, so 2 comments. One, very good father-son moment. Like, it kind of is like consider it a bad dad. Obviously not.
Yeah, it was more endearing.
Yeah, it's a big moment. And then as far as the Death Star stuff goes, y'all got to be better at making a Death Star. Like, we made 2 real bad, like, just one is a little hole you could go in. The other one is one you could fly into and destroy the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
I once again, I know it's a movie, and I know that you need things like that, but like,
apparently there's no screens or expanded metal in the Star Wars.
Like, let's be a little bit better at making a gigantic weapon to kill planets.
Yeah.
That's all.
Then Han asks Leia at the celebration, "You love Luke, don't you?" And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Oh," and he's like, "He's my brother, dork." And then you see Han, and everyone's like, "Oh, bow, chicka, bow, bow."
It's on. It's on.
There's going to be another trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the funeral pyre, or Luke has the funeral pyre for Vader as the celebration begins or continues. And
we have to talk about the obvious.
Multiple planets, by the way, which never happened in the original movie. It wasn't multiple planets; it was just there.
So there's two things that I need to add. One, I don't like the added scenes. Okay, I don't love them. I like the celebration, just how it was. Two, how do we feel about Hayden Christensen replacing the OG actor? Yeah, there we go. I knew you had it. How do we feel about this?
I
like it.
At first, it upset me. Like when the original came, when they redid it.
Yeah.
But then, I just really like Hayden as an actor.
But also, like, it would make sense.
I was like, okay, it makes sense now. But if they're gonna do this, now they have to retcon it and almost put a younger Obi-Wan.
Well, yeah. See, that's the tricky part.
This is when Anakin Skywalker died and Vader took over. So
right, and that's my whole point. Is you wouldn't have seen an older man Anakin because he wasn't that guy anymore.
Right.
So it's interesting, and watching it, I remembered it. But I was like, because Annie and I watched, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, I did forget about that a little bit." And it's like, it is most certainly striking. Like watching it, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's but good."
Yeah. So I said, last note is Anakin is now a Force ghost with Yoda and Obi-Wan, and then yeah. And if it wasn't for, I think one of the most important people in filmmaking in the last 100 years is John Williams. The soundtracks that he's ingrained in everyone's head. You have Hans Zimmer and you have some other people doing it. They're good, but they're not, John Williams good.
Everybody knows that song.
Oh yeah.
Everybody can hear that song and know what it's from. And that is the biggest testament you can give to somebody who wrote something. Is everybody knows what that song is.
Dude, it's funny when my mother-in-law, when I was married, her ringtone was the Emperor, the fucking
You are not the first person that I know of who has done that.
Yeah. But overall, I think fantastic movie. They did really well. I mean, I was always surprised that they didn't do another trilogy sooner.
Yeah.
Like they should have done it 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
Or instead of making the prequels, they should have made the sequel trilogy and then the prequels.
No, it would have been much different.
Yeah. Just that, you could have still had some adventures with these guys. But here's the thing, too. Now, well, maybe we can get into it when we talk about that movie. But I think there's just something. I think it may have been contractual that they didn't all appear on screen together. And I'm not mentioning who I think that had that in their contract.
Okay.
But I know.
Very possible.
Yeah, so that's Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So we're gonna start next week. We'll be starting with the sequel trilogy. I'm starting to get hives, I think.
7's fine.
Yeah.
9's fine. 8's a problem child for me.
Yeah.
8's a big problem child for me.
Yeah. I didn't know I was going to be watching Samurai Jack. But anyway.
I was actively mad out of the theater at 8.
Oh, totally.
Like-
I was like, I wanted to do this to the filmmakers.
Yeah, I was actively angry. Like in the middle of the movie, I went with one of my buddies and I went with Annie, and I looked over at both of them like, what is this? Like, what are we doing? And I'm trying to be open-minded, but 8 was
Right.
8 was hard. 8 was hard for me.
Oh, for sure.
So cool.
Yeah, it even spawned a whole thing of online hate.
Yeah, for no reason.
What were they called? I can't remember what they're.
I don't remember.
But there's a whole bunch of them, and then they just kept on getting worse and worse. And it's like, you don't need that kind of negativity. We get it, but we loved something so much. And like, here's the thing: like, with other people, like, oh, Metallica sold out. They don't sound like they did 40 years ago. Yeah, because they're 65. They're 60. Of course they don't.
I'm a big Eagles guy. If you go see the Eagles right now, if you think you're getting Joe Walsh from 1975,
on the Walsh.
I love Joe Walsh.
Yeah,
absolutely love. But you're not getting the same guy. It's just not a thing. He's very good.
He's still, yeah.
He still wears his leather pants. All the credit to him in the entire universe. But like, people get old. It's okay. Yeah. Like, you appreciate the experience, and you appreciate the fact that they've been providing you 30, 40 years of joy, right?
Right.
Like, and that's the thing that...
Oh, Joe Walsh is my favorite musician of all time.
He's great.
And I'll tell you something off air that's pretty cool.
Cool.
But all right, thank you everyone for watching. I'm Vince. This is Brian, and this has been another edition of Sci-Fry. And we will see you guys next time. Have a good one. And may the